Far too often, LGBTQ plus business owners believe they have to choose between authenticity and being successful. Through these real-life stories, LGBTQ plus listeners aspiring for success can gain valuable insights to navigate their path to being both queer and successful. Hello, everyone. It is me, Hunter J. McNair, your hostess with the mostest, back again for this week's episode of Queer and Successful. This week, I am joined by my good Judies, my good pals, Shawn Layton and Jimmy Hendrickson. They both run a successful real estate team in Orlando, Florida, and I have known them for actually almost 10 years, 8 to 10 years. They are a power duo, and today they are going to be talking about the ups and downs of working with your spouse in business. As always, you can actually join these calls live at successfulcall.com every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Hi, friends. How are you?
Hi.
I have already talked to you for the last little bit before we started today's call, but I'm so excited to see you both. And it's been way too long. You're both looking stunning. You know, you've got your gorgeous Florida touch skin right now. And we've known each other for quite some time. So if you all do not know who Shawn and Jimmy are, they are actually really good old friends of mine who own a real estate team in Orlando, Florida. For how long has it been now? 8 years?
8 years this year.
Going on, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was doing quick math. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Okay. You can go first, Jimmy.
I'm Jimmy.
And
You're
I'm
so
Shawn.
polite, Shawn. You're so polite.
Happy husband, happy life, or something like that. And I'm Shawn, and we are, like you said, the homeboys and with Sirhan in Orlando, and we've been in business since 2017, and we've been together for 16 years.
Love that. And I just learned how to pronounce Sirhan today.
Everyone asks us. It's Sirhan.
I mean, Sirhan sounded way
bougier. Yeah.
way bougier. Well, me and y'all and us, I guess should say, because Justin and I, or my husband and I, are also in a couple business. Have known each other for a long time because, I think you were in your first year of the business when you sent us a referral, and we've been kind of friends ever since, and known each other through the Keller Williams Rainbow Network until you unfortunately left us for Sirhan. I don't know. We'll figure it out when we're older. And you've really been running an amazing business over the last 8 years. So I'm really proud of y'all.
Thank you.
And I told you I'm proud of your move too, because I think the branding and everything really do align. So I'm very happy for that transition. Yeah. So I want to get started and talk about what the last 8 years have been like for you both working as a couple, and what it's like working with your spouse in business, because, Justin and I do it, but we don't actually, post both of our faces. It's usually just myself. So people don't often know that I run a business with my husband, where you both have been doing this for the entirety of the last 8 years. And so I want to start with just asking, what made you decide? And I know a little bit of the story, but what made you two decide to go into business together? And how did you know that it would work for you?
We guess started out not knowing it would work.
Yeah.
We just, I feel like every decision we've made has always been just, we're going to make a change and we're going to do whatever we have to do to make it work. And it was a decision we thought about for a year before we did it. We both had very long careers in what we were previously doing, so it was a huge risk to leave those and go into something we knew nothing about. We didn't know if working together would work out, but we knew if we worked hard and did our best that
It would. I think a little background is important to say. How we kind of, came into the idea of changing careers and going into real estate. We had completely opposite schedules. We were both in retail. Jimmy was with Publix, customer service manager for 17 years. I was with Macy's. I was a visual merchandising manager for 10 years. I loved my job. I was grossly underpaid. And Jimmy had made great pay, great benefits, but he hated his job. So we're kind of at this crossroads. Jimmy calls me in the car one day on his break, just like crying. He couldn't he couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
So, and this was like ongoing. So he couldn't take it anymore. And I was just like, you know what? At that point, we had been talking about like a change. He had expressed interest in real estate, doing something different. We both had an interest in it. So he's crying in the car one day. I'm like, then quit. Just quit.
Yeah.
Quit, and we'll both quit, and we'll do something that makes us happy, do something for us. Well, and me, I love to take risks. Jimmy, not so much, but I love to take risks. I like to take leaps, and once we make the decision, we always go 100% in. So whether it was going to work or not, we didn't know. But we took the steps necessary to learn enough to, I think, make a successful business. And that's what we did.
Well, and I think that like speaks to true partnership as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're partners in life and you're going to do things together. You might as well go in business with each other while you're at it, right? Why not? And I think what's funny that you kind of had that moment was for Justin and I, we were both working at Sears, RIP. We were both working at Sears at the time. And he decided to go to grad school, and I decided to start real estate. And we both quit our jobs at the same time. And then he was about 2 years into grad school, hated it. And I had a similar moment of he's like, I just really hate this. And it's like, well, just stop going to school. Stop wasting your money. He finished school.
Makes me happy.
I'm still bitter, but do what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy, right? Now, I can already tell, and I already know that you both have very different personalities, right? One of you could be yin, one of you could be yang, right? One of you is more obviously outgoing, like myself, and the other one is a little bit more reserved, right? How do you feel like these kind of strengths complement each other? Because like realistically, this is usually what does happen in a couple relationship, right? Usually there's one who is the outgoing one. Usually there's one who's more reserved. How do you feel like in business, these individual personality traits complement each other?
We've definitely taken on roles that fit our personality. As far as like the business goes and like the stress that comes along with business, I would say he likes to take a step back and he likes to assess, whereas I like to blurt it out. I'm very direct. I like to say passionate. He likes to say crazy. But I'm very.
He says he's very passionate, so I have to tell him I need you to lower the passionate level.
So yeah. I often will run things by him or through ChatGPT now to finesse the conversation I'm going to have with people. So I come across a little bit more together.
Yeah. Well, I like to say it's like the black hat, right? Like Jimmy offers this kind of like black hat. So do you know what that is? The black hat? It's basically like the skeptic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically the person who's gonna like hear your like amazing, happy idea, and they're like, okay, but like, what about this? Right? It's like you're always gonna have that one person who's like super optimistic and the one who like balances out with a little bit of skepticism, right? We want to have that kind of ability to break things down, even when they're like raining on our parade.
Right.
I'm talking to Justin specifically. I mean, in high pressure situations like real estate too, right? Like you don't want to always be reactionary. At the same time, you don't want to be like too slow to move. So it has to kind of balance out as well, right? And I know, that dynamic plays out with clients. And we talked a little bit about this beforehand in your marketing, because you started with your marketing being something that was both of you, and now we've kind of shifted into, doing it where you, Shawn, are more the face of the business. And this was not a prepared question, but I'm asking it anyway. What was the decision to kind of shift out from you both being on the cover to now, not necessarily you not both being on the cover, but just for like video content and stuff like that, for just to be you?
Um, I think more I think it came from a place of allowing less stress in our not only our business but our relationship. I would
Well, it's also that, but it's also from his creative side. Like he's very creative. He is very like comes up with his content like on the spot. Whereas I need like an outline of everything ahead of time to plan it out, to know what I'm gonna say, would know what I'm gonna do. And it stresses me out when everything is on the spot.
and I can do an outline
Yeah.
for you, but that outline I promise you will change once we
Yeah.
get there.
And it's
So
okay.
me being stressed out stresses him out, which affects, the level of,
Mm,
the content we're making.
Yeah.
So
So it has we allowed less stress in our business and our relationship. It allows him to do the work he needs to be doing rather than create more work, and it gives me the allows me the time to be more creative, to come
right.
up with different ideas on the spot. And we work with a videographer in Sirhan Studios that is able to do that as well. So we're they're bouncing ideas back and forth off of each other instead of doing that with Jimmy there stressing out in the background.
and me saying, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. No,
So
for sure. I mean, with couple businesses in general, like, do you recommend that people do, now that you've done it, right? Now that you've done this, like two people on the cover, right? Do you recommend that couples do that, or do you think that they should like keep it separate?
I think it's up to each couple.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I think we will always be on the cover together.
Yeah.
That will never change. Um, as far as like videos and social media content, yeah, it'd probably just be me.
Yeah.
But I think every couple is different, you
Mm,
know. I think they all need to play to their own personalities and their strengths within that relationship.
yeah. I mean, Justin has never wanted to be on anything.
Right. So
You know
then
what I
don't,
mean?
then you wouldn't force them to.
Well, I could, but I also like the attention. So I'm not gonna like,
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
why would I share it if I don't need to?
Yeah.
So obviously working and living together 24/7, it can be difficult to not blur the boundaries of, work life balance. How have you both created space, literally and sometimes even emotionally, when you need it, when it's like you're constantly together?
Take on the face.
Mm.
Please take that one.
I mean, we learned pretty quickly that while we work great together, we can't work in the same room together.
Mhm.
So, we both have our own spaces. He works in the office at home, and I work either in the living room or the dining room. Um,
I am, like I said, very passionate,
yeah.
and I'm very fidgety. Like I'll just like be doing. I need to be doing something at all times. I'll like to play music while I work, and he needs a more serene, more calm
Mm.
atmosphere. Whereas I like chaos.
Chaos.
Right, right. Well, and then it's like, you know, me and Justin don't work in the same room either,
Yeah.
right? Like this is my office. He's got his little
Yeah.
corner in another room. He doesn't get a whole office. Um, but I'm like, I need my space. I need my chaos. Like, don't look at my couch over there. This is the only part that looks nice. Um, but even like when you're, finishing the workday, do you both have like hey, this is my cutoff time? Do you set boundaries like that with each other?
We try to,
Mhm.
yeah. We absolutely set cutoff time for each other.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah,
Um,
like I think that, and maybe Jimmy, you run into this more, like Justin doesn't turn off the way that I like to turn off.
Oh, no, see, it's the
the
other
The
way
other
other way
way.
around.
around.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Usually
'Cause I'm
me
like,
saying, like it's usually me, like like
yeah.
we're done for the day. It's 7 o'clock at night. We're watching TV.
I'll be
And
texting, yeah.
I'm sitting on the couch glaring at him.
He's like, what are you doing? Nothing at all.
Yeah.
Just nothing.
Not working. Yeah.
And I
No.
get an alert that he's tagged me in a
A social media post.
social media post on our business page, so I know he's working.
You're like, oh, you've been tagged in a thing. That's funny. Yeah, no, I think like because Justin does so much transaction stuff, like he'll want to see and work on something like late at night, and I'm just like, it's 10 o'clock at night. What are you doing? And
Right.
I think that one or the other typically wants to work hard, but I think it's just about like clearly communicating, like you're doing, right? You're like, hey, I need us to cut off. Do you do a date night?
Yes.
What day?
Thursday.
Thursday. See, Justin and I do Friday. So I knew it. I already knew that you both had a date night because you have to have that like one
Absolutely.
day a week. Now, because you obviously, work these two sides of the coin for the business, one more people facing, one more back end, like when you're going on holiday, or vacation, how do you manage that?
Well, we
That's
have a
myself.
we have a transaction coordinator that handles a lot of it while we're gone, but I also have partners within like, Sirhan that will help us do like showings and I'll just pay for the door or whatever.
Okay.
We also set aside, like we, tell each other, okay, we're gonna, get up at whatever time it is and reserve, an hour to check email or make phone calls if we need to, and then we're done.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Like, how do you kind of time block this rituals or habits that you have to make sure that like things are going according to plan and you're not getting overwhelmed with the chaos of like that work and life being intertwined? And so I know we mentioned, your Thursday night date night. Is there anything else that you do?
Um, Not really.
You, Justin, don't. I mean, we're just like constant,
No.
like
No.
No, I mean, I really just block off date night and we know that that is date night and it all will always be date night, no matter what it is. It could be just like something simple like going out for ice cream, or it could all wait. And we have like, go to the Dr. Phillips Center, Performing Arts Center here and do like Broadway shows too. And that's always on Thursday. So they kind of align.
So what's funny is like Justin and I will just like go on a walk and
Yeah.
we'll just like brainstorm together, like while we're walking together, which is like calming, but like doesn't feel pressure of like work
Yeah.
life. It just feels kind of like a
Yeah.
hype, So sometimes it's like not even just, I think it's like over the years, right? Because we've both been doing this for a long time now. You kind of get better at it, right? Like
Yeah.
going back to the beginning, how much harder was it then to balance?
Oh,
That was a lot.
it's
a lot harder.
Really big learning curve for sure. But I think, over time we've gotten together, we've gotten a lot better. And I feel like it's more of a system now than it was.
Yeah. What were some of the biggest hurdles you think?
Goodness. Yeah, work-life balance for sure. I think that
a lot of it was knowing that it's okay to take time for ourselves when
Right.
we need it.
Yeah. Being that agent, say I'm the hardest working agent in America, Gulf America. Like I work 24/7, that's not true. We've learned that's not true. And if you run
shouldn't work
a
24/7.
smart business, you set your own hours, you set your own time. So that's what we want to do.
I mean, that applies for any business owner. You're just now doing it together,
Yeah.
right? Now able to do that together. And I think, like I said, I think having that kind of yin yang allows you to kind of balance that out. And I think also just having that second mind in a relationship allows you to really bounce that off with each other. Like, am I being too much or am I being not enough, right? Did you ever consider, because you've been doing this for 8 years, did you ever consider not working together?
No.
We both say a lot, like there's no way either one of us could do what we do without the other one.
Or would want to.
Yeah, or would want to.
It's so sweet. I love it.
I know it sounds corny, but it's true.
So we say it all the time. I was like, I mean, that feeds into like your appreciation you have for each other. I do not want to do what he does. Honestly,
And it's
if I had to, I probably wouldn't be doing
It's
real estate.
funny because in the beginning, he wanted to do contracts and all that. So I knew in my head, I'm like, this is not going to work out.
And then I tried, and I was like, ew, no.
You thought you were gonna do contract, Shawn?
Yeah.
Ugh.
That was a mistake. I mean, also it's cheap labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's really affordable to work with your spouse, right? So, you know, and I will say, like with Justin, like we've never really debated him not working like with me. I think that I've actually been the one who's been like, why are you doing this? If anything, because I'm just like, it's hard. It really is difficult to, turn everything off like on a vacation. And there's
Mhm.
always this feeling of like, you're with your partner and you're out of town and you both have to somewhat deal with it. And I guess I'm the type of person who's like, I'd rather just be the one that has to deal with it than him having to think about like he's
Right.
also got to deal with it. And so I think on my end, it's more of a like, I want you to get out of it so that like you can have a life, which is funny. Because it's our life together, which is kind of what you learn to like understand is that you're really in partnership together and that you both kind of understand and appreciate that about each other. It's not like a weighted thing, it's an equal balance, right?
You're breaking up. Oh, ugh.
Oh,
Can
I
you,
heard
are we back? Okay.
yes. Yes.
It was frozen for a minute. Okay.
Yeah. It's all about this equal balance. I knew if I went on a tirade, Zoom would freeze me.
Well, I just want to talk to that. Like when we go on trips, we kind of like if we have to work, we share the responsibility. Like I will take on something and not have him stress out about it, not worry about it. Like let him enjoy the vacation or vice versa. So
Yeah.
you have two
So
people.
really it's I mean what we're really getting at and what we're all saying here is like communication and boundary setting is
Absolutely.
is
Mhm.
like popping up constantly. Like when you are obviously in business together and you have this kind of like traditional role, well, a non-traditional role, I should say, who are like, your inspirations? Like, who are you looking up to in business? Like, do you have any traditional role models? Because as queer couples, it's difficult to see.
We actually, this was actually one of the questions that it was hard for us to answer. No, we don't. We can't think of any like traditional role models um, that inspire us, other than I would say the people that we have surrounded ourselves with, just our colleagues, people we've met along the way, leaders we've met along the way. Those are the people that inspire us every day, real people out there working, you know. But if you
And I think
want,
it's a lot of it's the other couples that we met through the
yeah,
Rainbow Network that are in business together.
yeah,
I would say those would be our traditional role models for us.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we are all very similar in the way we do
Mhm.
business, and our personalities.
It's funny. There's always one of each
Yeah.
personality.
Yeah, that's what we were saying earlier. It's
Even our friends that are, our couple friends that have been in relationships as long as we have, and it's the same. They're each a yin and yang, and we always gravitate towards the one that is like us.
mhm,
So it's
mhm.
really cool.
Well, and you actually, speaking of that, you two are like probably the rare few who've ever met Justin.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of that, like I just thought about that no one ever meets Justin, and you two actually have. So that's actually funny, but that's it is difficult. I think that as a gay couple business, we do find each other, right?
Yeah.
Like we do get drawn to each other because we know we're like going through similar experiences. But at the end of the day, like every couple business is also still ran very different. And are you really both like networking together usually these days as well?
Not
Or is it
really. No, it's more me. Yeah.
yeah, and that makes sense. It's just back to just playing into like what your personality strengths are and not making it so much like we've got to be equal and do the same equal footing.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
just took a class where there was a couple I was taking the class with Wendy Papazan, and there was a couple business in the room and they were like how do we decide who does what? And we both have to do everything. And it's like, no, like the point is that you both don't do all the same stuff. It's actually that you balance each other out,
Right.
right?
Yep.
What advice do you think you would give to couples who are like thinking about working together for the first time?
Listen to
Mm,
each other.
yeah.
Communicate. Communication is key. It's everything. It's the most important thing to run a business together.
It's really in everything.
Yeah.
It's almost like it all
From the
applies to
business to the personal, from business to personal, it always goes back to communication.
Yeah.
everything. What do you think some of your biggest mistakes were?
I don't make mistakes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's really great communication style and really productive when
But
you're
what
working
is
with your
it? You said
spouse.
something
I
good.
don't know if it's necessarily a mistake, but it's kind of what you mentioned earlier that, we went into it thinking we had to do everything together. We had to work in the office together. And I think if we had known going into it that that was not the case, and it was okay to not be sitting in the office together and okay to not be doing, everything together, I think
Yeah.
it would have helped a lot in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think at the same time, like it's okay that you threw pasta at the wall and see if it
Yeah.
stuck. You know,
Yeah.
like sometimes you just got to try it. I mean, Justin and I started working together in the same office space too.
Oh.
He looked over and was like, "Why aren't you lead generating?" And I was like, "You can get out. This is my house." Uh, but I think it is like throwing things at the wall until they stick, right? And kind of failing forward together. And like I've mentioned and said before, this is an opportunity where when you're working with someone that you're in life with, you also get to be just as committed to being in business together, and sharing some of those same fail forward moments that we do have. What do you think one of the most unexpected perks have been?
Um, I think it's taught us a lot about uh, ourselves and each other, and just the trust and appreciation we have for each other. I think our that has grown significantly over the years. What do you think?
Yeah, the same.
Yeah. I mean, I
Oh,
think we've gotten closer together.
looking at you respecting each other is so sweet. This is why I don't have Justin on calls because I'm just like,
I think
uh,
it's also helped us both like face things that we've struggled with.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's true.
brought them to light and, kind of forced us to work on them.
That
Like
makes sense.
I'm the type of person that keeps everything inside.
And
I let it build up and build up and build up.
Right. You let it build up and build up and build up until finally you just rage. All right, getting into some of the nitty gritty as we kind of wrap up and we open some discussion. How do you split your tasks and roles nowadays? Like, are you more of a divide and conquer now or more of a tag team?
definitely divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just based on, honestly, comes down to what we like and our strengths. That's
Yeah.
it.
I think that like the tag team everything method becomes a little bit more stressful over time because you end up stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah.
I think it's important to, like we went through that,
Mm.
that phase. But as you grow, as business grows and as you grow together, I think you'll find that, divide and conquer definitely works better, more beneficial.
Okay, so you started with the tag teaming
Yeah,
everything.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. When were you like, what was the moment you were like, okay, we can't do this anymore?
It was early on.
Yeah.
Early on. Um,
I don't think it was anything that was like abrupt. We kind of just like slowly.
I think it was you actually told us early on that, work on, divide tasks, work on things that make you happy.
I think I did say that. I'm actually like looking back at, I think, a
Yeah.
dinner
Yeah.
in Orlando we had together, and I think you were having a conversation with us about how to divide tasks and how to both do things. And I was like, why don't you just both do what you're good at and happy to do?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
I do remember that. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, I just remember that. That's funny. No one should listen to me. I don't know why. No, it's good. I think it was good advice because I think it was still early on and it was still early on and I think you were both trying to do 100. And every relationship is like 100, right? Like you both have equal share in things, but when it comes to business, like you just have to be okay with like taking the percentage numbers out of it and just saying like, what are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? And how do we actually conquer this instead of trying to like pretend like we each can do everything perfect. Um,
100%.
because it's just not going to happen. Now, looking back, just to kind of like wrap this up, has working together strengthened your relationship?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
love.
I think
Well,
we've
you
done.
said it.
Huh?
Yeah. Well, you said it. It's made you better people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Um, I think, and the cool thing is we've kind of like evolved and grown together. We've always been kind of like that couple that's most of the time on the same page.
Yeah.
And I think we're very fortunate to have a relationship like that because we see a lot of couples that just aren't, they're not on the same page. And over the years, we've just kind of grown at the same pace. And um, it's created a much stronger relationship as we go on.
Yeah. I love
He
that.
actually said yesterday, he's like, it just keeps getting better and better.
Aw.
And it really like it's honestly just communication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
So
mean,
often like you don't want to say something because you're afraid it may hurt your partner's feelings or make them feel a certain way, but instead you hold it inside and it festers and it comes out in arguments or whatever else. And if you had just talked about it in the beginning and worked through it, you could have eliminated all of that.
Yeah.
So I think like it really is just communication. It's simple.
yeah, just not easy, right? I mean,
It's not,
Yeah.
if you think about it, it really does kind of force you to communicate as well. In a lot of ways. And I really do think that the growth that you get to experience together is also something that is so impactful and I think should be talked about more when you're talking about working with your spouse. Because I think that like, especially as entrepreneurs, when you start out and you're not making a big business, but then if one of you starts to grow and have this bigger life and the other one doesn't, you can feel like you can kind of grow apart. Where in this situation, you're literally both growing together simultaneously, because you're supporting each other's growth, you're supporting your life together, you're learning the same things. You're learning how to operate with different people and different personality styles through your partner. And so it's a pretty cool thing that you both have done. And thank you for sharing everything that you shared. Is there anything else you would say as we kind of wrap up before we get into Q&A? Like if someone was like, hey, I want to get into this business, is there any other thing we haven't touched on that you'd want to share?
I would say from the very beginning, it's been a focus and very important for us, most important, but for us to be just our authentic selves, um, individually and together. So I'd say going into the business, just be your authentic self. So,
Success is about being authentic, for
Mhm.
sure. Love it. Thank you both. Thank you. Thanks for listening today, friends. If you enjoyed this call, do not forget to join Queer and Successful, the community on Facebook, as well as register to participate in these calls live every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern at successfulcall.com. See you next time. Bye.